The Vajra and bell are the two most unique ritual objects of Vajrayana Buddhism, and they're also the most important symbols to represent Vajrayana. So looking at it as a physical object, we really have four different types based on shape. And they're early examples. They're the 5 and 9 pronged Vajra, animal-faced Vajras, and then multi-pronged Vajras. So these are really the four. Now, the early examples of the Vajra we really only find with sculpture. We find it with late Gandharan, Swat, Kashmir, maybe some Pala examples. We don't find it in painting. Now, the Vajra itself goes back to pre-Vedic time. So it goes back to really very early periods in Eastern Europe, then also Greece, Rome. We have Zeus and we have Jupiter, or Zaupiter as he's known in the Rig Veda. And then we have the later god Indra. All of these carry the Vajra. The Vajra scepter, the thunderbolt, the lightning bolt, basically a weapon, an indestructible weapon. So when we look at the early examples, we're not looking to Greece and Rome and that time period. What we're doing is we're looking at the Indian Swat Kashmir sculpture, where it's very much like a club. And it does not have the very defined 5 prongs or 9 prongs. It also doesn't have the faces. It doesn't have ornamentation. It's just very plain. Now, the 5 and 9 pronged are by far the most common, and these are what you will also find in held in the hands of the wrathful deities or the peaceful deities such as Vajradhara, Vajrasattva, in painting and sculpture in the Himalayan regions post 11th century. That's the most common. The bell is the most decorated of the two objects. The Vajra is more simple. It's really the embellishment on it, or the 8-petal lotuses at both ends, holding the 4 makara heads and the 5 prongs. The makara heads are most likely to be a Nepalese embellishment. I've just not seen it really with the Indian examples from the 10th, 11th century. So it's very possible that it's a Nepalese embellishment. Now, for the bell, under the face on the bell, we also have an initiation vase. This also could be of Nepalese origin. Plus we have further decoration. We have 8 letters, symbolic letters, but then we have the 8 auspicious emblems or symbols that are common, decorating the sides of the bell. Then we also have 2 rows, a horizontal and a vertical row of Vajras on the bell. A lot of this appears really to be coming out of Nepalese aesthetics and design, along with some more elaborate bells which have just a series of kirti mukha faces and strings of jewels descending down. And this is identical to Nepalese art from the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th century. So there is some Nepali influence. The more plain the 5-pronged or 9-pronged Vajra and bell, the more likely that's based in just Indian literature having to do with tantric theory and the creation of the mandala. Now, moving on to the animal faces. Now, the animal faces can be of all types. They can look like monkeys, sometimes humans, sometimes they're wrathful Raksha figures. And I don't know what the origin is of the wrathful and animal-faced Vajras. I have never found a bell to go along with these, and it appears as though these Vajras are created just as a solitary object. In Tibet, they're often referred to as Samye Vajras, but no explanation is given. It's just merely the name, a Samye Vajra. And textually, I have never seen any explanation or description of these Vajras. So I don't know if they're in fact Tibetan or whether or not they're Shisha, Tangut, or whether they're from the Dali kingdom. I really don't know. Now, the fourth of the types of Vajra by shape is the multi-prong. And the multi-prong has to do with the double Vajra, the Vishva Vajra, which is 20, but you can also have a three-pronged Vajra doubled. So that's 12. And then you can have dragon Vajras, where you can have up to over 100 and more prongs on these. So there's many different kinds of multi-pronged Vajras, but in terms of overall, they're not readily available. They're not found. They're more rare. They exist, but they're rare. So these are the four real shapes of Vajras. So we have the early examples, which are like a club. We have the 5 and 9 pronged, based on Indian and Nepali design. And then we have the animal faces of unknown origin. And then we have the multi-pronged Vajras. So these are the four main shapes.